Yo, what's good, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be talking about something that's very, very important to all of you. I know this because I get a lot of private messages about this. People are talking about this in my Discord constantly, and I see also YouTube comments about this. So I wanted to make a quick, short video about this. And really, what we're talking about here is how to get out of ELO hell. Okay, now there's different levels of purgatory. Okay, I would argue that pretty much every rank has their own, ELO hell, right? Even top Radiant games are not optimal. But there are certain things that you can do to increase your chances of ranking up. And I want to talk about those things and kind of address some misconceptions that I think maybe some players have. So let's get started. This will be a short video, but a very important one. And I think these are important things that you guys need to consider that maybe you aren't at the moment. Okay. Number one, find people to play with. Okay. I know this is easier said than done. Sometimes it doesn't, there's a little bit of anxiety when it comes to sending people friend requests. But I think generally, if you find like minded individuals in your ranked games that seem like they have good vibes, they communicate, they're fun to play with, I don't think there's any shame in sending them a friend request. Rejection is going to happen, it's just part of life. But you got to put yourself out there and you got to try to find people to play with, okay? If you already have people to play with, I recommend at least doing, if you're lower rank, get in those 3 stacks, definitely. And honestly, 5 stack, who cares? Like, who cares if you get a little bit of a penalty when it comes to your RR? At least you're finding yourself with a good environment where there's no random variables. You have 5 people ideally that are communicating, and you have good vibes, right? Generally, the team with better vibes wins. This is kind of just a generalized statement, but I kind of believe it. People are very, very quick to check out in this game. So if you can find people to play with and you can eliminate some of the variables and the randomness when it comes to teammate selection, you're naturally putting yourself at a competitive or a competitive advantage over the people that you're playing against, right? So if you're an ascendant below, try to get these trio stacks. If not, try to go for some 5 stacks or duos. Anything is better than solo queue. Trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. Okay? So that's number one. Make an effort to try to find some duo, some people to play with. Okay? It really helps. The other reason why this is important is because it creates good vibes within the team. Okay? So one tip that I have for some of you guys is if you're playing with your duo, don't just always talk in party chat. Just talk in party chat when you feel like you need to communicate only with one another, right? Make sure that you're including the rest of your team. Even if they aren't communicating back, if they see that 2 out of the 5 members of their team, right, are communicating, maybe there's a better chance that they join in. I like to think that vibes are contagious, right? If I go into a game and I start communicating and I say hello at the start of the game, I'm trying to invite conversation. I'm trying to start the conversation with my teammates. I want to get them talking because vibes are contagious and comms are contagious. And if some of you are trying, it's more likely to get teammates that are trying as well. But if you go into every game with the assumption that teammates are just going to be quiet and not talk to you, guess what? More often than not, they're going to be quiet and not talk to you, right? So it's very important. Kind of use the fact that you kind of, you tell a little mini lie and you don't let them know that you're duoed, and you start a conversation like, hey, what's good? And then your duo goes, oh, what's up, dude? How are you? And then you're like, oh, I'm good. Let's win this game, right? And the vibes are boom. Instantly, you're on track. You're doing better than the other team, okay? Point number two, follow your teammates' lead, okay? I don't know why there's a plus here. What I mean by this, and this is very, very important for you guys to realize, all right? If you see your teammate doing something dumb, quote unquote dumb, you're better off doing it with them than watching them fail by themselves. Okay? I know this is pretty counterintuitive, but it also makes a lot of sense logically, right? From a fundamental perspective or standpoint, it makes sense to peek with your teammate because you have a better chance at getting trade kills, right? If 2 of you peek onto the enemy screen and the enemy has to worry about hitting both of you, they're more likely to miss the shot because it's a stressed gunfight for them, and they're more likely to make mistakes. If they can't prioritize which target to look at. If they only have to worry about one target, then it's a lot easier for them, right? So if your teammate is making a suboptimal play, sometimes the optimal play is to avoid whatever your original plan was and just do whatever your teammate is doing. We've all had that run it down Reyna, the run it down Raze, the run it down Jet. Guess what? It's unfortunate, but you kind of got it. You gotta try your best to kind of be supportive and play at their pace. At least you give yourself a chance in the round in those situations. Otherwise, a lot of the time, what happens? You're playing 4v5, and when you play 4v5 in this game, it gets really, really hard. What's the quickest way to boost the vibes and the ego of the other team? If a thrower on your team is religiously just throwing, just running it down, running it down, running it down, and they also see that you as a team are not kind of scaling with that player, that will take the enemy team's vibes through the roof, and generally the team with the better vibes wins. Okay, so follow your teammates' lead. Okay, don't be afraid, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. I know a lot of you are watching VCT, you're watching my content, you're watching other coaches' contents on optimal setups and different utility and all that stuff. At the end of the day, what matters most is point number 3. Fundamentals are the key to winning. FPS fundamentals are going to be the key to winning, especially at lower ranks. Okay, you don't need an insane Baby J Inspire setup. Not, I mean, he's got great setups. He plays the game well, and I'm probably going to be doing a video of VOD reviewing his setups because I think it'll help. It'll help you guys understand like the decisions that he's making. That's some content to come in the near future, but you don't need to be copying Radiant level setups if your teammates are not playing at a Radiant level. You need to match the play style of your team, and sometimes, you know, if you're going to do let's say you're playing Sentinel and you go to do a setup on split, and you see that your teammate is just going to go peek top ramp, sometimes you're better off just peeking top ramp with them. It's really just the name of the game, and all it is fundamentals. Swing together, or you get swung together, or you get swung. The other team swings you together, right? Swing or be swung. That's kind of the name of the game. All right, it's very important. Other things that are very important: can we get out of the choke points with good timing and be close to each other? Can we scale at the same time? Can we make sure that we're running out the chokes with our smoke still being up? All of these things are important. Fundamentals, other fundamentals, communication. When you're using utility, can you tell the team that you're going to use it? When you're waiting for your dart to come back off cool line, can you let your team know to wait 3 more seconds before they scale into the site? It's all about making things super efficient for yourself. At the end of the day, the biggest fundamental that you need to process and get ingrained into your brains is the goal of any game out there is to make the game easier for you and to make the game harder for your opponent. Okay, that should be the goal of every game. Okay, so I want you. The second part of this is a plan where you do things together, or playing together will beat 2 separate plans any given day of the week, because unification and togetherness is the key to success. Okay, it really is, and that's what I'm talking about in point 2 and point 3. Okay, fundamentals. So follow your teammate's lead. If your teammate is doing something stupid, all right, guess what? Let's do it with him. Let's see if we can have success that way. Let's see if we can get some trade kills at least. Who knows? Maybe he hits a shot. Maybe you hit a shot. Maybe you save his life. Maybe you save his life and then he gets 2 more kills. But if he just runs it down by himself, you're not going to get any value playing 4v5. Okay, fundamentals are the key to winning. We got to make sure that we're just doing things together. We got to make sure that we're getting trade kills. We got to make sure that we're communicating. We got to make sure that we're not over peaking stuff when we have the advantage in the round. But guess what? If your teammate is over peaking stuff when you have the advantage in the round, guess what you should do? Over peak with them. It's really that simple. Okay. And I know this will build bad habits, but it also builds a really good habit, and that's the ability to play off of your teammates and to have a dynamic play style. I can't stress this enough. It's very, very important. This is something that you'll see at all ranks. Okay? Try to be supportive and try to play off your teammates. Okay, next. The last thing I want to talk about is general tips for each role. Okay? Duelist. I'll start with Duelist. When you're playing Duelist, try to communicate when you intend to go in places. I'm going to keep this one short. I'm going to just do 1 tip for each. Try to communicate where you intend to go, and ask your team if they're ready before you go. Ask them if they can smoke for you. Can they drone for you? Can they dart for you? Can they dog for you? Can you flash for me? Communication is gonna be the key for Duelists, okay? Don't just take every timing that you see. Wait for your team. Try to ask them if they're ready. Once you get a confirmation comm, yes or no, if they say yes, go ahead, scale with utility. If they say no, hold your horses, live to fight another day. You don't need to take every single timing. The most important thing is that you have people that are in your vicinity that are ready to trade off of you. Okay, that's the most important thing. So for Duelist, communication and patience, we'll put those together. All right, Sentinel. Okay, guys, Sentinel, I see this too much in my private sessions. When you rank up, when you're playing Sentinel and you're trying to rank up, a lot of the success, a lot of the wins that you have are not because of your play, it's because of your teammates. Generally, I feel like Sentinel players are very passive. Same, right? They're very passive and they don't have a lot of impact on the round unless teams go into their setup over and over and over again. So what do you need to do? You need to be confident in your setups. If you feel like you can hold things by yourself, tell your teammates to rotate and play the other side. Be comfortable playing 4-1, okay? And kind of read the game. Be able to understand that the enemy, if you're playing, let's say you're playing Cypher on Lotus, right? And the enemy team doesn't have a way to break your trip. You should be telling your Duelist or whoever, all 4 of the other agents, hey guys, just focus on top mid and over at A. I've got B. I'll close the door myself. I get to my setup super early. And really, like, another tip would be get to your setup early, put your setup down, and then like make sure that you have some type of element of surprise in your setup. Don't pop your cam after the round starts. Don't throw trips after the round starts. Don't throw cages after the round starts. We always want to have the element of surprise when it comes to our setups, okay? But I think generally the most important thing is give your teammates the confidence to play away from your setup on defense. Have confidence in yourself and your setup and the fact that you can get 1, hopefully 2 kills if the enemy team comes to you. If they don't, they're going into a 4-person stack, okay? You want to make, because you're playing a very passive role, you want to increase the efficiency of the defensive hold away from you more often than having people playing with your setup. Now, if you start getting ran over, obviously that's different. Ask for help then, okay? Controller. This to me is the most important thing. Controllers are also very passive by nature. They feel that they need to stay alive because their smokes are needed for the retake or for attack. Generally, on defense, I think it's very important that you guys start a round are using, if you're playing a rechargeable smoke agent like Omen, Clove, you need to use a smoke at the start of the rounds somewhere. Just use it because it acts as a util sponge. People will use utility to come through the smoke. If they don't use utility through the smoke, generally that means they're going away from it. And if they do use utility to come through the smoke, then they'll have less utility to use on the bomb site, okay? The other thing with controller that I think is very important is, well, the second part to that is if you use smokes early, it shows that you're fighting for space. You have an identity. You're playing for a certain area of the map. And when you do that, the enemy team has to respect it, okay? And so that is very, very important, right? Make the enemy team respect your smoke usage. If you just use all your smokes reactively, it's a lot of the times you're going to use them too late and you're not going to have timing. You're not going to have time for your teammates to rotate over and support you, okay? The second thing with controller, sorry, I said I was going to do 1 tip. Second thing is always know what your team is doing on the other side of the map on defense. Either ask them or look at the mini map and try to read what they're going to do. If they look like, let's say, Ascent B main, if they look like they're going to fall back into B site, maybe you don't need to smoke B main if they rush B main. Maybe you need to do a one-way on stairs, or maybe you need to do a site smoke. If they look like they're going to fight B main choke, guess what? Then you should smoke B main. But you need to be on top of it. You can't be autopiloting into the rounds. It's very important that you communicate and ask your teammates what they need, okay? Initiator, okay? Tips with Initiator, I think the most important part is look at your Duelist player and see what they're doing and try to talk to them, try to communicate with them. And if you're unable to, just literally throw util for them and hope for the best. If you're super passive, if you're just doing default darts all the time, it's really not going to work for you that often. Especially like if your Duelist is kind of a no-commer. Use your utility for them, right? Just try to do like the best job that you can. And if you're unable to do so, don't be afraid to use your util selfishly, right? Lots of initiators are very, very supportive by nature as well, especially on defense. Don't be afraid to use your sky flashes for yourself instead of for info, especially if you feel like you can get kills. Oftentimes in ranked, guys, you don't need a ton of info. The enemy team, when you're on defense, you don't need a ton of info that often, right? The reason for this is because the enemy team will tell you what they're doing in the first 3 to 4 seconds of the round, because you'll see a rain of flash pop up, or you'll see like a knife or a smoke or a dart, and they'll tell you exactly where they're going. They're not slowing. The teams are not slow playing the rounds in ranked for the most part at lower elo. It's very horizontal. A B A B A B, right? And they'll tell you exactly what they're doing. Teams are not A defaulting, grabbing the orb, inserting somebody there, then faking a mid B split, and then coming back up cat on a scent. Like, it's just not happening in lower elos. You know what I mean? So sometimes you can save utility and use it for yourself. Stop using info or stop using utility for information. Start using it for yourself to get more kill potential. Teams will generally tell you where they're going, and that's all the info that you need. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any other questions, please feel to drop them down in the comment section below. Hopefully you guys like this kind of content. This is just something that I've been getting a lot of messages about recently, so I wanted to address this. Hopefully this helps. Let me know if you guys need further clarification on any of this, or if you want to book a coaching session with me to kind of address any of these things or talk about anything further. I'm more than happy to get together with any of you and help you hit those long-term goals by creating short-term ones. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for the support, the subs, the likes, the shares. I really, really appreciate it. We are growing at a really, really rapid rate, and I hope to continue doing so. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. See you guys in the next one. Bye.